Okay, I'm recording it. Okay,
Thank you.
my apologies. Okay. Okay. Yeah, don't worry. We'll chat about that as well. Mads, we'll talk about that. So just keep my brain on that. Okay, so the first one that the people are having a problem with is the problem statement. So please get rid of parts A and C. So don't worry about parts A and C because of the word count. So what your focus is to describe the actual deficiency. What is the problem we are trying to solve? What is the problem that we're attempting to solve? So if you think of your title, if you think of your background, remember the golden thread. You can only really do research if you are trying to solve a particular problem. So what we're trying to do is to look at the gap that exists that has led us to this particular point where we now are going to research in order to come up with some sort of solution to this. Okay. So your problem statement, only worry about part B. Secondly, just focus on what is the reason why we're doing this research. What is the problem that we're trying to solve? I'm desperately trying to open assignments. Okay, so your problem, Madeline, and I'm just looking at yours now. Your problem really is that organizations provide benefits with the sense that somehow these benefits would have a knock-on effect. Because generally when we think of HR, and I'm not looking at anything in front of me, so I'm just making it up. But when we look at the role of benefits in HR, it's often to attract people. It's often to retain people. We also use benefits to develop and motivate people. And often those elements can somehow be part of and underpinned by job satisfaction. So the assumption is that we use benefits and we then, because of that, will have the ability to attract, retain, develop, and motivate. And that really is determined by the level of job satisfaction. So the problem is we don't know what the line of sight and what the relationship between how much employees value benefits and whether it has a knock-on effect in terms of their job satisfaction level. So what we're trying to do is to see whether there is an actual relationship between how much people value their benefits and obviously their job satisfaction levels. Does that make sense, Matt?
Yes, that does. And then in terms of, because I know previously you said we must support it with literature, is it fine if you just draw on like one source due to the fact that we only have 100 words? Because that's the other
If you
aspect
only
I'm
have one
struggling with is
source,
two.
I would prefer two sources, but if there's only one source, that's fine. Yeah, one source is fine as long as there's some sort of academic reference with that. Yeah, in my mind, it's clear what your problem is, what your issue is that you're trying to resolve. I don't know that. I think it's clear for you as well now. Okay. So
yeah, I
one
think I was
source
just
is
struggling with bringing it back to including literature as part of it, just because of the word count. But I think I'm comfortable.
Yeah, if you're slightly over, it's not serious. But yeah, yeah, the problem with the word count is that they've given us that word count because they don't want to allow us to get too deep into research. And I don't like word count limiting what we do, but ultimately if we go too much over now, the knock-on effect in terms of the final document would be fatal. Okay, so Whitney, you said you're having a problem with yours as well, with your problem statement?
Yes, I am.
Hold on a second. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Okay, so organizations, in terms of what we looked at earlier, in the previous session, have appointed people to act as transformational leaders, to act as change leaders. And part of that change that a lot of organizations had to think about and implement would be the introduction of remote work. And part of that is one of the key elements of transformational leadership is that idea of employee motivation because of the respect, etc., that people have for their leaders. So what we have to do is that there's not always a clear line of sight that says that transformational leadership within your particular context will result in levels of motivation. It might even be the wrong form of leadership. So the problem is we don't know what the actual effect of transformational leadership will be on employees working remotely, whether it's the right style of leadership. So we want to see the relationship between those two elements. There's your headache. That's what you're trying to solve.
Thank you. That really helped. I was clearly writing a bunch of nonsense.
I think I'm worried that you guys are overthinking it, and that's my concern. But that's, you know, guys, this is new, and honestly, yeah, I'm a different lecturer to other people. I think that's the way to look at it. So yeah, so the problem statement is a headache. Hold on, I've now minimized everything here. For Pete's sake, Dad. Shit. Sorry, can I just close down the stuff from the previous nonsense we did? What the hell? Okay, right. So the problem statement is done. Research questions. Now remember, people doing quantitative, you have a single research question. And then also remember what I said, the slides that don't apply to you, delete those. So in terms of quantitative research, one research question. Let me go there. Hold on a second. Somebody's typed something. Okay, not. One research question, and then your hypotheses. Your hypotheses, obviously, sorry, let me just, I'm now skipped ahead. Hold on. Quantitative research questions, one research question, and then your two hypotheses. One, there is a relationship between transformational leadership and employee motivation within the context of remote learning in whatever industry you're in, and there's no relationship. It has no effect whatsoever. Please do me a favor, as I've said previously, go and look at how using that specific background that you are doing your research in, how hypotheses would be written in that. But it's one single hypothesis, one single research question and your two hypotheses. Okay. For the qualitative people, you have one single question, which is your overarching question, and then generally your three sub-questions. Your three sub-questions will be often around clarifying the process. So in terms of the overarching question, ask yourself, what is the broadest question I can ask on this particular topic? And then the clarifying questions would relate to those kinds of process things where we could divide up the overall topic into elements of the process. So if you were doing it on marketing, we could argue that the process questions would relate to product, place, promotion, and price. And you could use that as, you could use 4 questions in that instance. But it is about making sure that we have that overarching question, the very broad one, and then those sub-clarifying questions. Please also make sure that you only ask what and how questions. I do not want to see a why question whatsoever. And in addition to that, remember your sub-questions will then become your objectives. The overarching question doesn't become an objective, but your sub-questions become your objectives, and you can simply just take your question and write to determine whatever the case may be, to determine the importance of price in product decision-making processes. Okay, so qualitative and quantitative. I think that's pretty straightforward. I've given you scripts. The aim, you can't go wrong by simply going, the aim of this paper is to. If you use that as your opening line and you end up in the wrong place, you can't write English. It's as simple as that. Guys, and rationale and relevance, it really is. Why is this relevant? What would happen if I just left this alone? The reason behind doing this research in terms of yours, Madeline, we'd just be throwing money into a pit thinking that we're giving these fantastic benefits, but absolutely don't know whether they have any value or any impact on job satisfaction. So the rationale is most organizations have benefits, but very few have looked at the relationship between benefits and job satisfaction. Okay. Population, and my apologies, guys, I've added in some extra slides. Let me put this on the WhatsApp group while I'm here. Hold on a second, guys. Oh, what is this? And then research methodology. My apologies, I've added in a few extra slides. Oh, I hope I haven't shared this with you already. If I have, my apologies as well. I'm not allowed to call myself a lecturer, but your online tutor is an idiot. Hold on. I don't know if I've shared this with you guys. What the heck is going on? Okay. There we go. Hold on. It should be with you right now. Okay. Population. If you look at the rubric, we go from population and then we use sampling to isolate who we'll use. In terms of the population, the key thing about the population is that they will share a single characteristic. That characteristic is our set of population parameters, and it gives us an idea of who we want to include in the actual research. In terms of target population, this is where we look at those people within your parameters. The accessible population would be those people that we actually have access to. So if it's just the people from your workplace, that would be your accessible population. In terms of your sampling, we know this by now, quantitative, you start with probability sampling. Probability sampling used because we want to have random people. We want to have a situation where we don't allow people equal access to the, where people don't have equal access to the, no, where people have equal access to be included in the actual study. My suggestion is go probability sampling, giving people equal access, and then what we do is you use random sampling, which is tantamount to chucking names in a hat and drawing the name from the hat. And then, yeah, you'll see enough carried on your research design. And that would be what you're going to do. In terms of the quantitative people, you'll do surveys. Remember Google Forms. I see some of my students in the other course are using Microsoft Forms. I'm not too fussed. Survey Monkey, if you want. For me, Google Forms is absolutely ideal. And then obviously the process that you will use to discuss that. Your data analysis, ensuring quality. Remember, you'll use terms like validity, reliability, generalizability. Please also remember that in this section here, the data analysis going through there, in your research design, make mention of the two scales that you're using, and mention also that that takes away the need for us to go and have a separate validation process, because we are using scales that have already been validated. Okay, let's quickly, interpretivism, right? Same discussion on population, but here, non-probability sampling, people don't have an equal opportunity to be part of the research. And I would do purposive sampling, where we isolate a particular individual purposively, and then if need be, that person can suggest another person, and then it would be snowball sampling. Please also note, we are doing oh my goodness gracious me, phenomenology. It's a nice description of what research looks like in terms of what we are trying to achieve. And then your data collection, remember open-ended interviews. Now whether the focus would be semi-standardized open-ended questions, please make sure that you include whether it's going to be online or face-to-face, as well as the technology that you're going to use as well. Remember guys, you need to record this. And yeah, so I've given a lot of additional description around what interviews are. This is what you need to include in your interview protocol, your interview questions. This is a nice outline of what you would have as part of your interviews, guys. And then your data analysis, yeah, it really is just grouping data from codes to categories to themes. All we're doing at this stage is discussing it, mentioning it. We're not going to do the actual coding yet, because you're not allowed to contact any of your participants or respondents. And then ethics, and just to answer Madeline's question, remember, you will discuss the need for ethics. Again, notice what I said, in qualitative research. So you can leave that line out, but you have to say that you will ensure quantitative people, autonomy, null, non-maleficence, sorry, and beneficence, where people will benefit from it. The qualitative people have to include all of that, as well as that bit of description on the ethics. So even though it just says qualitative, it really is just emphasizing that it is extra important from an ethics perspective, Mads. Okay. Right, Madeline, please tell me any questions at this stage, guys? Mads, anyone?
Doc, how do we link the feedback from our part one with this?
The feedback from part one isn't that essential, boyo. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Okay, the feedback is, I don't know why they worried about part one. It is minor. The feedback is minor. You can do part two without seeing part one. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay. Mads, which two scales are you using? But in particular, tell me the scale that you're using for the value.
So the two that I'm using is the one is the job satisfaction level, which is fine because that is everywhere. I managed to get enough content on that. The other one is then the perceived value theory.
Okay, so perceived value theory scale. Okay, let's see what they give us. I'm just going to go to here. There are some questions. Clearly stating Likert scale, and this thing is not. Okay, let's see what this one is. Let me see what this one is. I'm just showing off the results, but that's fine. Okay, let's see.
See, so the questions I ask is like product price relative to product price and that sort of thing, because I found this one as well. I just don't know how to convert that from an employee benefit perspective.
What is this one? I did find one, and I did help somebody else, and I can't remember offhand. No, but look at these, Mads. Have a glance. You can select from here. You can absolutely select from here. Look, for example, the value perceived when when using the. You can adjust the questions, hey? And you can say the set of benefits is well accepted. You can adjust those questions, hey?
Okay.
And
I'll
then
have a
you
look at
can
that then.
under sacrifice, you can change it. You only really need 5 questions, hey? And positive word of mouth. I mean, do you give people positive word of mouth? You can use those. I would use that, hey? And just adjust it in terms of, and you can easily find 5. It's just to use the essence of what is there. Okay. Once you've done and you've done the questions, just WhatsApp me and I'll glance at it. Okay.
Okay, thanks so much.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, happy. Thank you.
I have a glance at this one as well. Hold on. Let's just see what they've given us here. Copy. It will be. Come on. Let's hope it gives me something to work with. Oh my gosh, this doesn't help us with anything. Have a look at this one. I'm sorry, are you still there?
Yes, I am still here.
Have you answered that one? Because those questions are pretty cool.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll share it here. Hold on. Do it, and I'll have a glance at your before you upload, before we start, before you submit the survey. I'll have a glance at your questions, even if you just type it before you put it into your survey. Have a glance at that one as well.
Okay, thanks so much.
Cool. Okay, guys. Anyone else? Any headaches? Here's also have a glance at this one. To use voice because it's let's have a glance at that one, whether you can steal some from there. If it doesn't give you the full, just stick the title into the VC, into the library and VC Learn. Okay, guys. Anyone else have any headaches? Anything else that you're concerned about? I think we've done a lot, and I think you guys know what you have to do. Remember, at this stage, except for the questionnaire and the interview, it's still a slightly theoretical exercise, so the slides would be pretty decent. It's very quiet, guys. Mads, anything from your side? Do you want to beat me with a stick at this stage? Ransom Boyo, anything from your side? Wits, anything from your side?
Nothing from my side, though.
Okay, cool, Boyo.
Nothing from my side right now, thank you.
Sure. Well, we've got the group. Mads, you okay?
Yeah, I think I'm fine now. Thank you.
I hope so. Okay, guys. Well, if we've got nothing else, I really have bugger all else to do. And I would love to go in gym right now and would